Yeah, I think, hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Great. Do you know it's being recorded? I'm just gonna say, got it. Cool. Very exciting. Congratulations on the tech bug. So hi, I'm Mindy. I'm president of the congregation. Welcome. We're so glad you're all here. We're so excited for Reggie Miller. And so I just want to have an opening reading from our hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, 698. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very hard. Sorry, stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Amen. Amen. So now we're going to play this wonderful movie.
It's the movie.
Today is the start of a remembrance that we should not forget after the days, that we should do something daily. My cousin Frank Bowles was down the middle. He's a good man. And my message to a lot of black men, especially single black men, but black men in general, we lost so many men because they felt they was good. And COVID was just taking a hold of them, and they just kept saying, I'm fine, I'm good. If you feel it a certain way, we have to go to the doctor. Remember that.
When we come together and then we hear God, we hear our prayers, and it's not to be taken lightly. This is an important moment.
It is important in a civilized society to recognize those who have lost and bring people together so that we can remember and say never again.
I hope that we will remember it was the time that we were able to connect via Zoom. I hope we will tell them about the time that we had to do the drive-bys and just wish somebody a happy birthday, and we understood the value of community and family. Rise again.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Reggie.
Good afternoon. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. So many people I want to thank for zooming in. We got people all around the country. I got friends in Waylee in California. My family, my immediate family not here. They're in Florida. Most of them, a lot of them. During this time, we have a vacation thing. We go down to Florida and then doing Cookman game. My family in Florida. North Carolina, we have people zoomed in. And lastly, I got my boy Kenny out in Minnesota. Now, I want to say this too today. I know we feel like it's cold and it's 35 degrees and it's cold. Like my brother and them in Florida is laughing at me, but Kenny, I'm laughing at him because it was almost like 12 degrees today in Minnesota and they have snow. So Kenny, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. For one, I am here. I'm always blessed to go out and speak and tell my story about just growing up in Orange. And I know my topic today is agape love, and there's so many things you could say about that, but I am extremely humble, and I want to thank Doug, my man Charlie overseas, and last but not least, it's full of love. I appreciate you. I don't know you personally, but you're definitely my good friend, and you don't even know it. But because your background and who you are and the things you have done and the way you promote Orange, and I always say that Orange, New Jersey is a great place to me. And I've been here for over 53 years, been living in Orange. And my story is simple. I like to give just a little background on who I am. After the Newark riots in the late 60s, my family moved up to Orange in 1970. Grew up right there on Chapman Street. I had a normal childhood, I would say, mother and father. Had to go to church like we are now. If you ain't go to church, you ain't go outside. My father was strict, I thought. Then I saw some other fathers that were worse than my father. I'm like, wow. And I would say through school, I was always, my family and friends, we was always popular kids in the neighborhood. We didn't create mess, but we definitely got in it from time to time. And I wanted to play basketball. I'm 6'5", so I loved the game, and I played for Orange and loved Orange High and went to college, and I got hurt. I was paralyzed my freshman year, a week before the season started, so I never got to play. But Rutgers was gracious enough to keep me on scholarship until I finished, which was a great thing. I finished, I came back to Orange, and I was told when I was young, and I know Miss Wells, thanks for being here too. I was told a long time ago, you should work where you're loved, and you should spend your time where people appreciate you, instead of being somewhere that you're not liked or whatever. So I came back to Orange, and everybody felt sorry for me because I couldn't play basketball. Little did people know I was so happy that I could move and walk around, and you know, that was more important. And I came back, they had a program called Brotherhood. Brotherhood is a life skill class for young men at the middle school age, mainly around 13, 14, 15 years old. And I got involved with that in 1997. And I would say within 3 weeks, I knew it was something I was passionate about and something I had to do, because I saw the shift, the change in our neighborhood. I can give you an example of why I stayed with the program. It was real simple. It was a young man, I'm not gonna give his name, I'm gonna call him Bobby. Bobby was having a little issues, he was at risk. His mother was on drugs, and you saw it. That's when you started seeing fiends around the neighborhood and things like that. And his father lived down south. So he said, Mr. Miller, let me use your phone. I always tell this story. He said, Mr. Miller, I want to use your phone. I want to go live with my father. He lived down south. I said, I'm new at work. And I said, cool, down 9 back in the day. And you called down south. And he went to call, and he came out the room within, I didn't know protocol, what to do. He came out the room within a minute, and he was crying. He was this tough kid in 8th grade. I'm like, oh, what happened? I'm thinking his father was in an accident or something. He said, my father just told me I have another family. Don't call me anymore, and hung up on him. His biological father told him that. I couldn't even fathom, because I was 30 years old at the time. And I was like, no way. And I said, this kid, he's either gonna go to the left or the right, he's gonna be a bad kid or a good kid. He ended up being bad. And I always said, when I saw him getting in trouble, and he was stabbed before, he was shot before. And now he's older, so he's coming away from those things. But I always looked at him and said, it's not really his fault. You know, society can easily blame him on the corner and getting in trouble and gang banging or whatever, but it's way bigger than that. And I saw it firsthand. And I started working from that perspective. What can I do for young people as opposed to blaming their house? Because it's easy to blame, you know, the mother and father, what are y'all doing? You sending him to school this way? I always felt that I got 8 hours with them in school. What can I do with my 8? And then that 8 turned into a little more, because about 2000, 2002, we started losing. I started losing some of my young people through the streets, through murder. A couple of kids started leaving us. And when they started dying, and I was like that vessel for the friends. It wasn't a lot of men in Orange that was working with young people. A lot of my peers, because I came out class of 85, love that, but a lot of my peers did well, but they moved. And I'm not mad. I mean, you do what you want to do in life, that's cool. But I always tell people, my message to a lot of people from Orange or any inner city, you shouldn't leave and never come back. You should at least touch the place you grew up in and feel good about that. So I was thrust into, I would say, activism. Thrust into it, meaning that the young people would say, Miller, what we gonna do? I just lost my friend. All right, cool. Let's have a rally or something. And I was stuck in the middle because my brother's a police officer. I know the council people and stuff, and I knew the kids and the people who was involved, the people that died. So if you're gonna protest and things like that, a protest, you don't need permission, but I would give people, you know, the police a heads up. And I would say, hey, listen, on next Friday, we're gonna be marching down Scotland Road. Miller, I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm giving you the heads up on a protest. We're gonna do it anyway. But I'm just letting you know in case you wanna, so you won't be caught off guard and all these kids gonna be outside and adults or whatever. And that's when I think I created a following with that because they know I was passionate about where I was from. And a lot of times when you grow up with certain people tag you as an athlete and things like that, they don't take you serious. So when I started doing serious things, people started taking me serious. And I started taking my job serious. And the person that I really like, now my mother going through it, she had a stroke, and I'm helping take care of her, and that's a tough one. But once I got her blessing on what I was doing outside of school, basketball, popularity, all that stuff, I knew I was a man. It took a long time. I teach my young men that becoming a man, especially growing up in the inner city, you're not a man till you're around 30 years old anyway. Society say 21, but where we live and the things we're going through, you don't get it till you're 30. Kyrie Irving is 30, 32, somewhere around there, so he's experienced. Kanye, they're experiencing who they start to manifest who they are as a man. And they starting to realize things. And I remember being in that position. So I'm appreciative of the position I'm in. I work with over, I would say, 2,500 young men in Orange. I gave out my number to these men. They can call me at any moment, drop of a dime, I'm there for them. And that was from day one. And then I would say as the years went by, I always thought I was leaving. I'm gonna do brotherhood for a couple of years and I'm gonna go do this. And I'm gonna do brotherhood for a couple of years and I'm gonna go do that. Fortunately for me, it kept rolling and things kept getting tougher where we live at. And the more I was passionate about it, the less people was around for me to work with, adults, to say, hey, Reg, I got your back, let's do this. This is why I'm so pleased with y'all here at the church. And I've been seeing this church a long time, my whole life. Never knew that I would be here now speaking at the church. That's why today I said I'm humbled to be here. I was nervous all week and I've been speaking for a few years, but whenever I'm in a church, that's why I can't sit in the dais. You know, that's wait a minute, I don't have my license. Sometimes I feel not worthy, but through talking to ministers this week, and my aunt Pat, she's a minister, and told me, your blessings should flow. You should speak whenever you can, especially if you're speaking in the name of. And I'm always doing that. So I'm like that vessel for God. I always say, especially with the kids, especially in school, because you're not supposed to talk about religion and those things and stuff, but I'll always put stuff in there. I always let them see the other side of life and how spirituality is important. And if you have spirituality, you have a base of good within you. And I teach my young people, if you study most religions on this planet, they're going to teach you good values. And we're missing those values right now. And with values, you get spirituality. So it all goes hand in hand. And I'll say about 5-6 years ago, I started doing art motivation, where a lot of people started branching out, and they was like, Reg, could you come talk to our boys over here? Could you come speak to these people here? And the more I'm reading up and learning more about who I am and where I'm from and what I represent, I know I'm a big Black man in America. My kids don't realize that I'm seen as the boogeyman from the gate, regardless of who I am or what I represent. That's how I'm seen in America. You big, you Black, you're a brute. That's the bottom line. So I have to teach from that perspective so they can understand that as they go out when they get older. A lot of my young men, they get it when they're like 23, 25. I get calls, I get, oh, Mr. Miller, I remember you told me that, and I get so many good messages, you know what I mean? And it just propels me to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm in year 25 of brotherhood. My job don't make a lot of money, but it makes a lot of sense. And I've been teaching that a little bit. I'll talk about being rich and what is wealth. And I always say wealth starts with inside, and you got to feel good about self. And that starts with, because a lot of us not going to be a rich man on this planet. This is not going to happen. And if you're a minority male, especially living in the Northeast, you're predicted to do bad or poor or have this hard life. What I'm teaching my kids is, what type of life can you have without the wealth? Can you still be happy? Yes, I'm a proponent of that, of happiness. And that's where agape love come in. There are a million definitions, well, a lot of definitions of agape love. The New Testament had they bring it up at least 116 times. During my research of agape love, and I could look down and see that agape love is deeper than the physical love. It's way deeper than that. It's deeper than even that mother-daughter, mother-child love. And that's a deep, deep love. Agape love is, in my opinion, how I feel about it, is really based on your works. You need to be born again for it to manifest and work anyway, throughout life. And I think if you walk with love in your heart, it's hard to get malice in there. If love is already there, it's difficult to bring that in. So, and it's almost like I'm almost like tricking my boys into feeling that love is okay. Because a lot of people we know, especially in our environment, they're not coming from a loving environment. I grew up in a loving environment. I love my family. I love my block. I love my friends. It was even though we had hard times, and people always say that now, I'm old enough to say, we didn't even realize we were struggling if we had a struggle because it was so much love around. What's missing now is that agape peace. We don't see that part of love manifesting in our neighborhoods like we had before. And that's why the elders, myself, because the kids call me a double OG now. I'm like, I'm like, I was, the OG was 10 years ago, OG. Now they're like, Mill, you're a double OG. I'm like, so, and I always tell the kids too, I'm like, if life was a roller coaster, my roller coaster going down. I'm this ride almost, so I'm flying down. A child, high school, if you 25, you still teetering up that roller coaster. You still excited of not knowing what is, even though you know it's going to be this crazy ride. Life is a ride like that. And I know, it goes by fast. It's like a roller coaster. You wait in this line, you go up this hill, you're nervous, and next thing you know, once you get going, it's over. Through agape love, I have dealt with, and I don't want to put a damper on it, but it's real. I think God put you in position to be who you are based on the works He know you're going to do when you don't even know you're going to do. When I was playing ball, that's all I thought about. In my 20s, I had fun. Wasn't important. I don't even remember my 20s. I remember my teen years more than 25, 26, 27, because life was just fun and friends were, and popularity was everything, and being around. I mean, it was good times, but good times don't have a lot of value if you're not doing anything that's lasting. It's almost like a perfect song. We've been hearing songs forever, but only certain songs have lasting value that every time you hear it, it brings you back, it gives you something. So we good. So, trust me, I've been saying, what can I bring today? I'm here in front of this full of love and scholars and people here. But I was told by Miss Barbara Peters, an Orangeite, a long time ago. She passed away a while ago. She's a great person. She said, Reg, whenever you feel nervous or feel unsure, just speak from your heart. You can't mess up. You won't be able to mess up. I'm a person coming to you, standing in front of you. I used to stutter as a child, and now I'm confident to say what I say because I've learned, I've taught, I've seen the works, the things I've said, it works. Wow, if I could talk to this young man or young lady about self and they listen a little bit, because I'm the type, I tell kids all the time, can you give me 70% of what I'm talking about? And 70% is not good on the test. If you get a 70, well, to me, it was good, but I ain't put the school. But, and I can say that, but a 70, if I tell you to do 10 things, I want you to do 7. I'm good with that. So, and I bribe them into, all right, no, because I know these young people are not going to be perfect. There's no way we can expect perfection from them. But if they can tap in to 70%, I'm good with that. Trust me, I'm good with the 70% because if they give me 70, it's something that's going to last and going to stay. We talked about spirituality. Spirituality, what we're missing from spirituality is the kids they're not being introduced to religion, so it's hard for them to feel spirituality. It's easy for a kid to smack this lady in the head on Main Street, take her money, and look at her and laugh as she's shaking on the ground, hemorrhaging. And he'll leave with $40 and go get something to eat at McDonald's. And we say as adults, look at this, he's a monster. We say that's a monster. But we have to, let's go back. How was that monster created? I'm in a town where I love this town, and we hold a trophy of my girl Joyce being the first female police officer to be killed in a line of duty. That's sad. And we lost, I think 4 cops got shot in a 10-year span. Most people don't want me to talk about the truth. Every one of those cops that got shot in Orange got shot by a kid that we raised right here in Orange. Not no guy from no Jersey City came over here. No, it wasn't Pookie from down the hill. No, it was a kid that went to our school system. We taught, and when he got older, a lot of times we go like this to young people. If they're not doing it, if they quit school, who's going to listen to them? Through our motivation, I started to go out and speak more and tap in more and learn more from the Kafeles, the Larry Hands. And these are people that, oh, Miller, this is what you're doing. I'm there. I never had a budget. Still don't. It still had athletes and mayors and dignitaries come in and talk to my boys. That's only through God, I always say. You know what I mean? A lot of kids say, Miller, how did you get? Don't worry about that. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? One thing I'm proud of, I started with the boys too, because I don't like guns. You know, I won't even touch a gun. I'm an advocate for, we need to just dismantle, get rid of, look at other countries that's doing well with crime. They got gun bills where you can't even touch a gun. I believe in Australia. So you can't even, the only people that have guns are just the authorities, and that's it. And wow, crime goes down. I wonder why. But, and I'm not here to talk about a gun bill or whatever, but for my kids that live around here, if I teach them that guns is not cool, I don't even touch a gun. My brother was a police officer, like I said, and me and him cool. When he became a cop, he was like, yo, I want to take you to the range. I'm going to show you how to do that. And I would go like this back in the early 90s. Nah, I don't want to go. I was definitely that child. Even though I got into bad things, I knew certain things just wasn't good for me. Drinking, no. I seen too many family members, too many friends couldn't handle it. It's poison. I'm 8 years old saying, wow, you can make a bomb out of liquor. And people drink that. Not me. I just wasn't going to do it. Cigarettes. I took a pull once. Why would people? Just didn't want to do it. But it's good for people's nerves. That's what they say. For me, couldn't do it. And I'm tapping my kids with these things. Because with the cigarettes, you got the vaping and things with the Black and Miles with the young people. And the young people, when I started really doing this as well, they started watching my every move now. So now, if I live in the town and work in the town, I can't be doing silly things in the park, which I was. I was the type of guy in the park, I'm giving love because I was the director of the playground in the 90s. Here I am, Mr. Miller, I'm like, wow, my playground I grew up in. Now I'm the director of the playground. So I got basketball going over here. I got kids cleaning bathrooms over there. We got the pool squared away. I got the basketball can, everything flowing cool. But when the day was over, this is my immaturity at the time, I'm throwing dice with the guys on the basketball court. 6'5", peanut head. You see me, you may not see my boys. I don't like dice. That's a short man's game because you got bent over. And I never was good. But I remember doing that, and I remember an orangeite because I feel I'm an orangeite, and I got that from when I went to college, when I went to Rutgers to play and everything, got hurt. But it was people from Jersey City, Newark, stuff that just the bravado. You know, I'm from Newark. Wow. And I was like, okay, I'm from Orange. So I had to adopt those feelings of being comfortable and proud of where you come from, even if other people do not like where you come from. I do. And it was just a lot. So I had to learn those things. And just going back to the guns and the things I don't like the number one, here go one, I work with my kids laugh at this because when I go out and tell kids I never had, I don't drink coffee. And they don't say nothing when I say I don't smoke weed, I don't drink. Once I say I've never had a cup of coffee. Wow, you never had coffee? Because so many kids now drink coffee. When we was coming up, a child you couldn't give a kid a cup of coffee. What? It didn't happen. And they like, so I said, fellas, do y'all know the number one fruit sold in the world is what? And the kids be like an apple, an orange, and this and that. I'm like, nope, a little coffee bean. A little coffee bean. And I said, the weird thing about this coffee bean, we've been programmed to think that it helps you wake up. Right? That's what most people say. I need it in the morning. I need it to wake up. If you woke up, you woke up. That's how, if your eyes open, I don't think coffee had nothing to do with your eyes going, I opened up. That's where I feel, that's when that spiritual side come in the morning. We're thanking God for, whew, thank God I got my coffee. As opposed to just thanking God to wake up, period. Because that's not guaranteed. So that's the way I tap into my boys. I'm a basketball, guy. So I like to teach through basketball terminologies with the boys. If it's something easy today, I say, fellas, it's a layup. That's the easiest shot in basketball. This is a layup, fellas. You can remember this. If it's a 3-point shot, I say, fellas, it's something kind of difficult, but I want you to get it. It's just like a 3. But they still gonna try a 3, even though they may make it, may not. But I want them to know there's gonna be something a little difficult. So I try to teach from that perspective of letting them see something that they really don't see. But when I tap them, they say, oh yeah, oh, you're right, Mr. Miller. It's been tough. Today is even dedicated to Cheryl Butler. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you. Right. I lost like 3 friends in the past. This is where Agape love come in again too. I lost 3 friends in the past week and a half. One, Stevon Norman, give us some love. We went to elementary, middle school, high school together. Cancer. She was at the nursing home where my mother is now, and I saw her a couple of months ago, Kev was standing too. And when I saw her, the wheelchair go, I'm like, yo, what's going on, Steve? I give her a hug. She said, oh yeah, Mel, I'm sick. And she was in hospice at the time with a smile on her face. Hey, what's up? Hey, Miss Miller. She never was complaining. And I was like, wow, how you do that? How you do that? Knowing that you about to leave it. My other police officer passed away. Man, Joe Martin went to high school with me, Big Joe. He had a stroke some years back and never recovered. And he just passed away. He was a good man, family man too. And lastly was a good friend of mine, George Harvey. And he was a young man that he created my logo. My own motivation, I'm telling him about it. I'm thinking, okay, I got to do everything correct. I got to go to what they call the people that design. Yeah, graphic designer. And graphic designer talking 800, 1,500, 2,000, just to do what my man said. Yo, what are you talking about? Reg, I got you. I said, yo, you need a picture or anything? Nah, where your Facebook page at? Boom, boom, boom. Within an hour or something, he sent me some. I said, yo, this is great. Sharp brother, good brother. Me and him would have little debates. He was younger too, 42 years old. He had a heart attack about a week and a half ago. 2 weeks ago, Rachel? 1 week. And it took a lot from me because I'm like, he wasn't perfect to a lot of people. But as he got older, remember I said, you're not mature till we're around 30. And the older he was getting, the more mature he was getting. And that's what people don't have the patience with young people or other people also. I never been the type, even when I was little, I never wanted to be the guy that was, if I'm the biggest person in the room, you're not gonna know it because I ain't gonna want to make you feel that you're small. If I'm the smartest person in the room, you're not gonna know it because I don't want you to feel ignorant. I'm not, even if I'm the strongest person in the room, I don't want you to feel weak. So I always want to be in line with everybody around so people won't give you the tag of, he think he all that. And this is why I'm not bragging. I hear a lot, oh, Mr. Miller, everybody love, which I know they don't, but everybody love, you come back to Agape love. I know they don't, but it's something I showed. It's something I've done that make a person feel comfortable when I'm around them or we around a certain situation. And I hang my hat on the less fortunate. It's even growing up, I had chance, like I could have easily hung out with friends who had, because I got all type of friends, millionaires to people that don't have no money at all, to dudes walking with homeless dudes in the carriage. They saying, Miller, what's up? I'm going to get him a hug. My kids are like, Mr. Miller, hold up. You know everybody. I'm like, I've been here 50 years, I better. If you don't know everybody and you've been here 50 years, what is that saying about how you feel in your town? Like, like, what are you giving life? What are you giving life? I'm not perfect by no means. And through people, I think if we embellish on our triumphs or the things we did good, and trust me, a lot of that stuff is going on now. Mr. Bullock, my boy on too, one of my mentors that created a documentary on me this weekend. It just came out, throwing the plug out. And and I look back at it and I'm like, wow, but it talks about the basketball and getting hurt and all those things. And some people that don't know me is calling me, especially some of my kids, like, Mr. Miller, I didn't know you played basketball like that, because I'm not one to teach from that perspective on how good I was. I love to teach from the perspective of the mistakes I made. And I don't want them to make the same mistakes, especially a lot of young people, especially a lot of people behind me. So as a man, I'm going over all type of experiences. We talking about love right now. And I remember, you see, this is agape love to me. Most people feel agape love is when you can be there for somebody or give them your last. I remember a young man and it was just something inside me. I'm not gonna give his name, but he was going through something. He was on drugs. And I was in college, but I always had this same, to me, it was always in me to help and do and serve. And I remember I'm coming on the train at Penn Station, and he was having a bad moment. And he had money, but he was had the Rolex on, and at Penn Station, hit. I'm like, and I saw him, he like, yo, man, I'm like, yo, what's up? And when you see people, they dirty inside, you going, yo, what's going on with him? I can't believe that. So I'm doing all that in my head. I was like, hey, man, he's like, man, you got any money? And I was like, all right, here we go. First, I'm in college, I don't have no money. But I gave him my last $2. I remember I took out, I said, my man, this is all I had here. He was like, word, Miller? I said, yeah, that's all I got. Gave him a hug, left. Got himself together. Doing very well. Seen him probably a few years later. And we was somewhere where a lot of big wigs. He like, move. Miller, come here. And I never knew how he felt. He remembered that day, and every time he saw me, it was a hug, it was this. So I'm saying, wow, it only cost me $2 to get love. But it was my last, and he knew it. I teach from that perspective. This is love also. I'm transparent. So I'm gonna tell him. So I was in a relationship in the 90s, right? I'm grown. And me and this young lady, we going through it. Back and forth, arguing. What they call that, tumultuous, what word they use for that? Tumultuous relationship? It's full of love, because I don't want to. Tumultuous, thank you. I don't want to. So we going through it. And she said one time on the phone, she said, do you love me? I said, yeah, I love you. While we're arguing, she stopped and said, wait a minute, you love me? I said, yeah, I love you. She said, do you really love me? Just think about it. And I said, we up in the, I said, yeah. She said, if you really love me, don't call me anymore. And I said, and it hit me like a ton of breath. I was like, wow, that's deep. But that's the power of love and how it can manifest and work when things are going good and when things are going bad. You're going to have to rely on it. It goes back to death. In the film we showed, I lost 35 people to COVID. That ain't easy. And the 3 people I lost last week, neither one of them had COVID. And my kids say, Miller, how do you deal? Wait a minute, Mr. Miller. Because every time all right, class, what's up? It's Monday. I got bad news. They like, Miller, somebody else passed away. Yeah, I lost my boy, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I lost this. Because I'm transparent. I tell them. And they're like, wow, Mr. Miller. So I'm like, yeah, it's tough, man. And I remember my brother tapped me about 10 days ago. He said, yo, man, I got to really ask you a question. How do you deal with all this death that you're dealing with, because it ain't normal. And he a police officer. And I said, you know what, man, it's weird. When you live from the perspective of love, it's easier to deal with pain. Because I went through pain a few times, and like personally, emotionally, financially, but you deal with pain a lot. But when I told my brother, and I always felt that we were even, my brothers, my immediate family, but we really not. Everybody's cut different, and how they're going to be is different. And I know God gave me the ability to be popular and all that stuff is cool. God gave me the ability to have patience because something he saw that I didn't see was inside of me. And I'm trying to spew it now in terms of love or encouragement, things like that. So when it comes to, that I can't even give you it's well over 50 young men I know that died in the city. Well over 50 that I know their family, all of that. So I'm gonna give you an example, because the one who, I remember this right in front of Rosa Park School, which is next door. One of my first young men that I taught that died back in, I think this was 03, somewhere around there. Chet, and he died right there in Park Avenue, he got shot. Wrong place, wrong time. He was in college at the time. Had a job, but you hanging with the fellas. You hanging with the crew that's not doing what you're doing, but you with them. Comes with the territory. So he got shot and killed, and I was hurt. I had his little brother in my class at the time. That was a tough one, and knew his mom's. This is what I'm talking about with dealing with death. And I didn't have time to really grieve because the mother wails. I don't know if y'all saw Emmett Till movie, it's a great movie. But there's a scene in there where that mother is wailing. And there's fathers are hurt, people are hurt, but when a mother loses a child, there's a certain cry that's different than a cry. There's a wail that's coming out. And I saw Che's mother a month later. Because you know, after the funeral, everybody died off. So now I'm on Main Street and she walking up Main Street, and I looked at my watch. And I've done this a few times to parents of slain victims. 30 minutes. I already know whatever I'm doing, I gotta take 30 minutes because she's gonna come, hug me, she's gonna talk to me, and I'm gonna make sure she good. And we talked on Main Street about her son or whatever, but the crazy part, whatever I had to do, I'm gonna pause for 30 minutes, that's not important anymore. And that's what we're missing, that you have to have love for your fellow man that's going through it. We just talked about my brother and them, they having fun in 60-something degrees, laughing at us. I'm mad because I wish we was in 60s. My boy's in Minnesota right now. It's 10 and 15 degrees in Minnesota. He mad at me. It's cool on how you look at it. It's cool on how you look at things. So I try to look at things optimistically all the time. I was just in that, God gave me that favor. Because I remember being young, people thought I was immature when bad things would go on and I would smile. I would laugh. Yo, what you laughing at? You a clown. I'm like, I'm not trying to be down. I'm not trying to be where your state is of, I'm not trying to do that. So sometimes I would, and it may have came off that, maybe I thought I was, but I guess it wasn't going to seep in my spirit and stay there to be upset and angry and complaining and da-da-da-da. So through agape love, it's always about the works. What are you putting in? In those, it's just with anything, whatever work you put in, you're gonna get out of it. I was chosen to do what I do. And this is why I guess I'm not saying I'm good at death and dealing with it. Do it hurt? Yeah. But I don't have time to dwell because I gotta keep pushing for the next generation, the next crew, these kids. And I use every one of my kids that have my program. I'm gonna use your story for good or for bad. That's the contract you sign with me. Bro, if you take my class, now if you become this famous J Alpha football player, that's great. We're gonna talk about you. But if you make a mistake, we gotta talk about you too, because they gotta learn both sides. If I'm transparent, giving them my mistakes, they gotta learn from their friends, and I've always been a proponent of that. I'm sorry, I will. Oh my God, time is flying. We already at 10:05. But lastly, before I go, I did want to talk about before I leave, I had a couple of notes here. It's funny, you can have a script. The script don't mean nothing once you start going. Oh, excuse me, I need a tissue. Anybody got a tissue? Excuse me. I'm going, sorry, y'all. Have you got a tissue cap? Excuse me. It's not for you. See, this is a blunder. I like this thing. Excuse me, y'all. Thank you. Lastly, I just want to talk about, and it's touching to me, my mother going through it. And she was always a proponent of what love is. Thanks, Kenny. And she was always a proponent of what real love is, but she showed it. And as a young man, I always watched her. And I watched her moves inside the house and outside the house. I tell parents all the time, your kids are extremely nosy. They're going through everything in your house. Do not think, especially boys, they're 10 times nosier than girls in terms of physically going through stuff. A girl may want to, but no, mommy said boys are going through it. So as a child, I seen my mother and I'm not saying that because it's my mother, but I seen her as a virtuous woman. I didn't see her mistakes in terms of, I just didn't see him. My father, I saw his. And as a man, he wasn't even apologetic. You know what I mean? It's, hey, it is what it is. But my mother had a stroke last year. And my aunt told me, and this is what agape is to me also, is my mother lost her voice, ability to speak. She can still say hallelujah and things like that, but she can't have a normal conversation anymore. So I was hurt. It's just been like a year and a half. And I was talking to my aunt probably 6 months in, and I'm up there all the time. And, you know, I do little things. So my mother is cool. I like to just sit with her or sit on the ground so she can look down at me anyway. My aunt said, God took your mother's voice so you can remember everything she told you. And I was like, that was deep. So my aunt tapped me on the shoulder because she know I'm going through it. And I don't have time because the next day I get up and go to class. Yo, what's up, Miller? How was your weekend? Well, I sat with my mother and read the Bible to her. They like, really, Mr. Mom? I'm like, yeah, transparency. You got to give them what it is. My mother always wanted us as a family to read the Bible. We was always outside. I'm in Orange Park. Mom, I got to play ball. Mom, come on, stop. Now I look forward to going to read to her because that's her. I have to give that to her. So to me, agape love is wrapped up in so many different bundles of joy, pain, happiness, triumph, defeat. It's cool on how you use it. But for me, agape love is within me. And if we keep that mindset that we have, yo, I love my brother. Some kids I will never tell a kid, yo, I'm done with him, regardless of what he does. I'll never tell somebody I'm done with him. I hear that a lot from adults. So for me, I'm just full of love and I like spreading that. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, family. Yep, thanks. They want to do, go ahead.
Agape love, I've never called it that, but for me, it is that because you say kids grow up in the house and they don't have that. Grew up in the house where we had everything.
Right.
But the one thing that we did, well, I didn't know until I was grown
that we didn't have it because when our parents didn't. So
Mm.
they didn't know.
Them, it's the
They
mic.
didn't know. And consequently, I'm not saying this was the only reason, but there were 7 of us. And 4 of us left, because 3 of us died from drug overdose.
Mhm.
And it was being one of the kids, you know, I would talk to my sisters and I asked them, why, what made you put a needle in your arm? What made you? Every single one of them, every single one of them said, because I didn't feel love.
Mm.
So, and then I didn't learn that until I met my husband's family.
You saw it.
Love, number one,
You saw it.
number one, and they had nothing. They
Mm.
had nothing, they had absolutely nothing. Man, they had love. That's why I'm going there for Thanksgiving.
That's right.
There were 7 of them also, and my husband's mother, an absolute 100% unconditional love. Each kid,
Right.
she, you know, like in my house, they refer to the kids,
Right.
and in their house, they didn't. They, you know, one was coming home. Well, I know that he likes peach cobbler, so I'm gonna have some here when he gets here.
Mhm.
She likes.
Right,
Which is
individual.
amazing to me, yeah,
Yeah.
but. You could have not a dime or anything, but you need love to get through it.
You
just-
gotta have it.
And that's why when I'm saying like.
Same like Miss Wells, I know you. Time I met you, Miss Wells, you ain't give me nothing but love, Miss Wells. I
And
appreciate
the
it.
way you help my youngest grandson
Mhm.
is much respect, because you put your hands on him, you know, and he needed that, because his father's not around. And, you know, but my husband, you put your hands on him, and believe me, it made all of it.
Not beating them up, hugs. The people know, yeah, it's just the hugs. That's what I do. I like to touch my young man, tap and grab him on the shoulder, yo, man, I
That's
love
so
you.
important.
Tell him now, I tell my class that, yo, I love y'all, have a good weekend. Love you too, Mr. Miller. Ooh, it's a little gesture, but it go a long way. Cat, what's up? Thanks for coming, man.
Everybody know my name is Stevie Hightower. I also graduated from Lawrence High School. I know his brother.
Mhm.
Something happened in my life. I knew Reggie pretty much all his life. I got involved with community activism through Reggie. One of my sons got killed 6 years ago.
Mhm.
And I was in North Carolina. I came back here, and then Reggie spoke, and he directed me in the path that I'm doing now for the community.
He ain't look back, he ain't look back.
And it's great. And I'm gonna just say, when you put love in it,
Mhm.
I think of the story of Jesus before they, executed him or murdered, whatever it was called.
Mhm.
When the king asked him this, the king said, why do they call you king? You couldn't understand. He said, well, you don't have a
Mhm.
castle, you don't have an army, you don't have a lot of jewelry, you don't have no possessions.
Mhm.
Why do they call you king? And it was just love.
That's it. That's it.
He was hated for the love that he was given.
Mhm.
And it sums it up also in Psalms 21:21. The Proverbs 21:21, sorry. It says, those that walk towards righteousness and mercy find life, righteousness and honor. And that's the simple fact. That's the platform that I use these days. I love what Reggie do, because I pretty much deal more with the adult version of people.
Mhm.
When they stuck in their ways, he does the youth. That's why I admire him.
Mhm.
Great brother, it's been well needed. Well needed.
Appreciate you, Ken. Thanks, man. Thank
Well needed.
You have one comment from April, Butler.
Oh, April,
She said,
let's ignore that.
Reggie, you are the sustainable glue that ushers boys into manhood. You see the value and respect it, and in turn, they respect you and appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you, April. That's my girl, April. Her mom's was like my mentor too, Vivian Gomes. Laid down the foundation for me when I was young and still before I was mature. She'd be like, Reg, come here, sit down. Let me tell you. I'm like, okay. But she would appreciate you. Anybody else? How you doing?
Thanks for all that good work that you do in this community. And I wondered, do you have some idea of what we might be able to do here from this congregation, from the hub, that could support what you're doing with the young folks?
Hub already, Doug and well, it started with Charlie when he was here, and it manifested with Doug and Sister Full of Love. We've been working together, I would say, for the past 3 years now, 4 years, doing things together. Whenever I call on, y'all hear from me, so I can't ask more from y'all, without paying you. I can't ask you no more. Like I said, I don't have a budget, but Doug always find a way to make things work. I remember even Charlie, man, when I first met Charlie, and that was love too. He like, Miller, we got, a $500 grant. And most people say, $500 ain't no money. I'm like, you're gonna give me $500 to do something with the kids? Oh, that's easy. We can do it. He's like, what you gonna do? I said, we're gonna go there. I'm gonna get some basketball and I'm gonna buy belts. Because sagging was big. So we had a workshop called Belts and Basketball. So we gave out basketball and I gave out belts to make sure they pants ain't sagging and stuff. And Charlie was like, he rolled with me around. So Charlie knew I was, the mission I was on to try to get young people to see. And I talked to them about finances. Oh man, we could take a little bit and make a lot with it. Thank you. How you doing?
I feel like I've learned so much about teaching from you, hearing you talk, so thank you so much. But I also feel like when you're talking about love, I heard a lot about trust.
Mhm.
Too. I was curious, like, have you always trusted yourself to know how to be a teacher? Or did you learn that?
Like I said, I was almost like with Kevin, his activism, he was thrown into it. Not knowing he would be here 3 years, 4 years from now doing this. Once that young man father told him that, I said, oh, it made me say, all right, this is it. This is what I have to do, at least for now. And then it just snowballed and keep going. So that's where I'm at. But there's no way in the 90s. I told her I was immature. I was hanging out and traveling and trying to find my way. I couldn't play in the NBA. I need to be an agent. I need to do something. I need, and you gotta think in the 90s, we had everything around here. You had Queen Latifah, Bill Bellamy, Naughty by Nature, Whitney Houston. You had, everybody knew everybody. So it was like this big party was going on around here. And I was in the middle of it. And I just said, hey, and then we were starting to lose kids. So I said, yo, what's your focus gonna be over here, over there? So, Orange gave me love growing up. I gotta give Orange love when I'm grown. That's how I feel. Most people should be like that. But
this really was very good. And thank you for your words. The thing that I'm getting from you, the strongest thing is not just your love, but and the look that you feel and how you practice it, but also a real strong sense of empathy, of being able to extend yourself to understand what young people are going through and what other people are going through. So was that always a characteristic of you? I mean, a trait that you had, or is that something that kind of developed? And at what point did you really start to use the term love in your work?
I was known as this player. So when you can't play and everybody feels sorry for you, I got a big hug from Rutgers and Orange, and I couldn't play. So I felt all this love and it was like, I couldn't do nothing but return it. Rutgers is fine, but Orange needed help. So. That's what I look at it. Yeah.
Did you get any formal training? Once you got into this, did you get formal training?
Workshops, this and that, but I always feel, not that I'm self-taught, but once you thrust into activism and things like that, I'm always looking at ways or things that can help my young people. And I come from a perspective of some people in my position would have had millions and $1 million grants by now. I wasn't the guy to go research and technically do it. I gotta get this money. All right, what do I have in my pocket? What can I do outside right now? What could we do, especially when people challenge me to say, Reggie, you won't be able to have a rally outside. The kids are gonna go home. They're not gonna stay after school with you. Okay. All right. So we had gun rallies, we would line up, we would do certain things, and you know, the empathy, I guess it's always been there, always felt that way. Even when I was young, I always felt that, you know, I wasn't better than, and I always felt that we're all equal, all of us. You know.
It comes through.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Oh, one more. What's up, Doc? How you doing, man? Right. I met you down the hill. It was hot last time. Now it ain't hot now. Last time I saw you, it was hot. Remember that day, Cam? Y'all was burning up that day. On the corner. The pizza and Pepsi on the corner. That's when I met you again. Yeah, my memory good. I trust me. I don't drink and smoke. So I'm have a good memory.
People on love, people get the interaction with even love the outward, but even the extra, the introvert, community, mind, body, spirit.
Yep.
The first thing that you have to know is that you don't have love in your body. You have love in you. You live in spirit.
There you go.
This is the way that you feel vibration, you love from others, or even universal. On the road, have your family too. Right.
Family too, yeah.
Feeling the air, has an organ family too. Love is universal. Have to be inward, in community. In the power, living in community.
Appreciate that, Black man. Appreciate you. Well, even before we go to, like, that's one thing I adopted.
Is it something that, like, what you do, is it something like that for the young ladies?
They starting at the middle school now. I believe Miss Berry have a class called Sisterhood, where they starting to do things with young ladies. But I'll always say the reason why they had it from the beginning, you got 21 prisons in New Jersey, you only got one female prison. So girls not getting in trouble. You know, men are getting in trouble, but we do need, you know, it changed from even though we don't have more female prisons, but girls are starting to get in more trouble than they did 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, also, I feel women don't look at troublesome. Guys, it's a difference. That's how you look at it. You know, me being a guy, I'm only 60 years old. I've been around.
He said, only 60 years.
The way I see it is, women don't, especially people of color, you spoke earlier. A male was more intimidating, and it's a possibility.
Right.
Even if they didn't do nothing wrong, they did hell that they did something wrong until they do. That could be a part of it, because with the age of technology, there's no way people can investigate each other. If you can just take everybody in a certain demographic bad. But you destroy a lot from the beginning. After you get them, they can still destroy a lot. That did the other.
Right. Lastly, I think I always, and I appreciate what you said, sir, and I always feel that when we disrespect the planet, I tell people, man is not stronger than Earth. Earth gonna take care of itself. We starting to see that with all the hurricanes. Florida had the worst hurricane. Buffalo got the worst snow. We were told this in the 90s. This is going to happen if we don't change. So if we disrespect where we live, we're going to see it. If we disrespect people, you're going to see it. So if you're not like Miss Full, her whole life work been based around a lot of your work was based around inner cities. And what does it mean to, like, I always talk about the 4 legal things that's killing our neighborhoods: fast food, lottery, liquor stores, and pharmacy. That's not an issue in Glen Ridge. It will never be an issue in Glen Ridge, fast food places and liquor stores and all that stuff. But it's always an issue in the inner city. And when you always have issues, you're going to have problems. So what you're saying is so strong power. I appreciate that, man. It comes from, if it's not right, you know, the energy that's being given. So this energy around here, and I know when the energy is bad, when you see metal gates, that's telling me it's energy bad here. And that's not, you know, that's from the one Alpha, my boy gave me that. But if you see metal gates, you're gonna see issues. And that's not, I mean, everybody's not bad here, but it's issues when you have those things. So I've always been an advocate for that. I'm a cancer survivor also. So I ate and you saying, you ain't smoking, drink, what you do? I ate so much fast food. I got cancer from that. So, yeah.
Do you think, because I'm really up on that too, and I spend a lot of time on Main Street, and right now, I'm doing some things with the library, because,
Mhm.
you know, we have a library there, and we didn't even have software.
Mhm.
It's a mess. They've upgraded some, but they don't upgrade it a lot more, I'm gonna make sure that.
Uh-oh.
But is there
She
one,
will.
is something that we, if you get a copy of local talk for this week,
Mhm.
read the article about the library, it's just embarrassing. But if this is our community, I don't see any of us with a concentrated effort to say, excuse me, I don't want another McDonald's here, I don't want another Taco Bell here, I don't want another, you know, I want a supermarket here, a real, I want a health food store, I want a vegan store, I want, you know, I want a flower shop. There's no ice cream store in Orange.
Mm.
That's
They was gonna open one on Lincoln, it never opened. Remember they had it was supposed to open, it never
right,
opened.
and I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
and I said this to the man and other people in town, like, wait a minute. It's not like I can afford it every time I leave town.
You're going to buy somewhere else. Right. Right.
Every
Right.
penny,
Right.
because there's nothing here for me. I'm not going to downgrade because, well, I'm at home something. If I'm at home, just because I'm home.
Period.
Other than that,
You wanna have the same,
yeah,
same options if somebody in South Orange had,
right,
whatever. it is.
exactly.
Especially food options, but
And I figure with the taxes not paying, I should have all of those.
that's why I like doing, like, based on what I've done, especially being sick back in 05, I gotta hit y'all with this. I, the superintendent at the time was, Dr. Parker, right?
Yeah.
And I started talking about the fast food on Central Avenue, Orange and East Orange. It was probably like 48 different places at the time. We sold fast food, the bar, the liquor store, you know, it's fast food in there. And he changed the lunch menu for kids at the time. And they never looked back. And I'm a proponent of, they have the lunch, the high school, the middle school, the elementaries, they have good food choices for our kids now. So I'm glad that by me being in certain places and I'm sitting on certain committees and certain things, I want to at least tap people that's, you the doctor, but I'm filling you in on what really goes on Central Avenue, and most people don't look at it. So, you know, I'm just glad I could be a vessel to try to help people, and I think it's just not fair. You know, it's not fair.
It's not, but it's done on purpose.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, it's on purpose.
Yeah, it's on purpose.
Mhm.
That's why I want to support it.
Yeah. Thank you again, Mr. Bill. I appreciate it.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, Greg.
So, since you mentioned, what's your name, lady? Well,
Yeah. People call me Miss Robin, call me Karen.
yeah. It just came to my heart when you got on that point, that be just someone that, you know, lived in Orange, graduated from Orange High, seen the things that Orange had as a city, but especially for the size of the city, when it came to it's none of that here anymore. It's no Christian house, no place where you can go.
No
Kids
more.
congregate, they had live, they had Lady Lane. They had more, like, screaming at them in the fountain, and they had rodeos over there on the other side. And like you say, I don't really notice it, because I was out of town. To that, it's nothing here no more for children.
There's nothing. And I'm a town historian, I know what this place looked like, long time ago. The Fox like the capital of the world. Like people go to Vegas ski, they used to come on, yeah, hotels, everything. No more.
If you want to find cash,
The
y'all
Bush-
want to do after.
The Bush family, the George Bush family, where they. This day,
If you,
Tiffany was built by his father, James Bush. Where was Agape started?
Kobe,
Oh, yeah, that king goes, so we have Shaw's department.
Their estate was on Richmond, across from St. John's.
That lady came, who was the AP lady in the interview.
Yes, I mean, Orange was, we were number one.
Okay, but Karen Wells could go on all night.
Okay.
Well said.
Yeah. We got her started.
There, they won't let me.
We're gonna bring this part to a close and then, our COVID safety policy is not to eat inside together, but we do have some cookies, so we'll go on the porch if anybody wants to hang around and gab.
And we do a collection plate at the end, a little donation for the church, all right?
Oh.
Just let you know, no, not right now, go ahead,
Well, thank you, Reggie.
definitely.
So I just want to read this sacred hoop. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw. For I was seeing in the sacred manner the shape of all things of the spirit, and the shapes as they must live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that make one circle, wide as daylight and starlight. And in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy, like element.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks, girl.
Thank you to everybody who's on Zoom.
I'm gonna usher at my church, you want me to go? I gotta have.
Please, I'll see you.
Anybody, I'm gonna start on this.